We recently wrapped up some research on deployment model trends for online file sharing and collaboration, and I wanted to share some of the highlights here with you today. Let me provide some context. The online file sharing market, or OFS as we at ESG call it, is rapidly maturing. And it really all started out in the consumer space with cloud file storage and sharing services that allow users to access their files from anywhere with any device. Now, we've seen this technology steadily move into the business world as users also demand to be able to share and access data across a variety of endpoint devices that they're now using for business. But we're seeing some interesting trends regarding deployment model requirements. Now, it probably comes as no surprise that an overwhelming 84% of organizations currently using OFS solutions for business are subscribing to a public cloud model as their primary deployment model. And that really makes sense when you consider that this is really where the market started. Public cloud solutions have been around the longest and they've got the most market visibility. And the public cloud model is fast and it's easy to set up. It allows customers to offload some storage and infrastructure costs. But our research showed that change is coming. We see an increasing demand for alternatives to the one-size-fits-all cloud-based approach. Interestingly enough, that demand is especially strong coming from OFS users who currently leverage the public cloud model. So when we asked those leveraging a public cloud model about their interest in being able to store some or all of their data on premises, more than 2/3 said they were extremely interested in taking the hybrid approach. And 28% said that they were interested in that type of approach. Only 3% were unsure or not interested. Those are pretty big numbers. And more than half of those organizations that have absolutely no current plans to deploy OFS said they would be interested if an OFS service had this type of capability. So there's many factors driving this desire to retain file data on premises. More than half of the current public cloud model users said they wanted flexibility and control over where their data is stored. 38% believe they're better equipped to secure and protect their own data, especially in light of several security breaches in the OFS space this past year. 41% pointed to a desire to leverage their current investments in data storage and infrastructure as a reason to pursue alternate OFS deployment options, which also means avoiding the need to migrate data, which can be time-consuming and expensive. And more than 1/3 identified concerns over the accessibility of public cloud resident data to third parties, such as law enforcement agencies. To gain additional insight into concerns around control, security, and regulatory compliance, ESG took a look at the types of data OFS users prohibit from being stored in cloud service providers. Note that 90% of the cloud users surveyed said that they prohibit at least one type of sensitive information from being stored in the cloud. So it's no wonder that customer interest in hybrid OFS solutions is growing. Looking forward, we see interesting trends for those just planning to deploy OFS within the next few years. In that market, more than 1 in 4 say they're likely to deploy a solution that is completely behind the firewall. That's a big jump from the 2% using a fully on-prem model today. And 17% want a hybrid model that allows some or all data to remain on-prem. When you look at this all together, it paints a very different picture than where we are today. So the demand is clearly increasing for alternative deployment models in the OFS market. Now, which model to use will likely be the first consideration IT needs to sort out, even before diving into specific features and functions, especially given that most organizations have restrictions on what data is suitable for cloud-based services. Certainly, these restrictions have somewhat inhibited early and broad OFS adoption, since the majority of early offerings were cloud-only. The best news about all this is that we're seeing many in the vendor community respond with on-prem and hybrid options. It's not just a one-size-fits-all world anymore for them either, giving IT organizations the flexibility to choose what data gets stored where, and you get the ability to leverage your existing IT investments while still supporting file sharing and collaboration requirements for mobile users.